Hi all, and welcome to episode 4 of the Audio Drama Dojo. Tonight we're going to talk about making satellite audio drama. Now, satellite audio drama is a little bit different from studio audio drama. I guess the simplest way to put it is if it's studio audio drama, everyone goes to the same place to record. They might not do it at the same time, but generally they're all going to the same place. If it's satellite audio drama, just like the name implies, everyone is scattered everywhere across the world, and they're all bouncing signals in, and you're all sending stuff from different computers to one single source, where the mixer, director, producer, whatever he's called, puts it all together and turns it into audio drama. That's how it's done. I talked about this before, but I just want to remind you before we go into this. Now, some of you have heard this before. This is actually from the Team Iron Angel Director's Commentary. I did a little piece on how I make audio drama, and I thought since I already did it before, why reinvent the wheel? Here it is. If you've heard it before, just skip 12 minutes ahead and you'll hear some nice previews once it starts. The other thing I want to talk to you about is, I do this for fun. I really enjoy what I'm doing. I do this for a little bit of a creative challenge, but in general, this is a fun exercise, and that's why I give it out for free. But I wouldn't mind having a few more listeners. This is not to say that I don't have listeners. In fact, actually, I've got several hundred of you. But since I know there's several hundred of you out there who have excellent taste, I was thinking that there might be a few more people out there who also would appreciate the shows. So I was hoping that those of you who are listening could go around and post a few links, your live journals, your blogs, email, discussion boards, forums, wherever you go. Just leave a link to Kung Fu Action Theater so that people can come and check it out. Burn some stuff to CD. Play it in the car while you're traveling with friends so they can hear it. They might enjoy it. Tell your friends about it. Tell them, why don't you go over here? Try this. You never know. You might create another convert to listening to audio drama. And the more the merrier. The other way you can do it is by writing reviews. Places like DramaPod and iTunes and Podcast Pickle all have spots for reviews. And people listen to reviews. If people take the time to write reviews, other people take the time to read them, and they often follow them up. So if you could write a few reviews of, episodes that you like or shows that you like, that could actually really make a difference to our listenership. And I'd really appreciate that. So thank you for listening, and if you have the chance to help someone else find out about Kung Fu Action Theater, please do. Alright, so on with the show. Take it away, Rob. So, how did I put these things together? Well, let's talk about production. For those not familiar with how one produces a modern internet audio radio drama using actors from all over the world, here's a little bit how it goes. First, I write the scripts. Scripts are the same, movies, plays, TV, radio dramas, whatever, they're all pretty much the same. Except there's something that's extremely important with audio dramas that you have to do. You have to number the lines. This is really key. If you don't number the lines, you will go insane trying to produce one of these things. Okay, so I write the scripts, number the lines. What comes next? Actors. You have to cast your actors. In my case, I was lucky enough to already know about the Voice Acting Alliance, of course. So I went to the Voice Acting Alliance, I put my ad up, put up 3 audition lines for each character, notes about each character, and eventually I had people audition. I had to do a little scouting too. Scouting is when you listen to other projects or listen to demo reels and then ask the person very, very nicely, will you please come work in my project? And them being usually cool people with a lot of style and charm and wit, will look down on you kindly and say, yes, poor little director, I will be in your project. Actually, they're all really professional and they're great people. So don't be afraid to scout. Scouting is actually probably one of the best ways to find a strong actor for your projects, if you're interested in doing this yourself. Okay, once you've got all your casting done, sometimes you get several people apply, and of course you have to go through and actually pick who's going to get what role, and you have to get them to accept, which usually they will since they applied in the first place, but not always. Sometimes they back out on you, and regardless. So what happens is after that, you give your scripts to the actors, and you give them a deadline. Say, okay, I need them in a month. you tell them, email them back to me, and you give them whatever lines. It's a good idea to have an actual set of rules for doing your audio dramas, which you can see if you go to the kungfuactiontheater.com site. There's an actual section called Rules for Doing Our Audio Dramas. I put that up for my actors just so that it might answer some of their questions. It's an FAQ, really. So, you send these scripts out, and you wait. And you wait, and you wait, and you wait. Because some actors will get them back to you in an hour, some actors will get them back to you in a month. Like, really, you have to take that into account when you're planning your projects. This is not something you can plan to do in a week. It just does not work, especially if you have a large cast of some kind. Okay, next on our list is you get your lines. Now, the important thing is, and remember, all those lines are numbered. What's actually happened is the actor has just recorded their own lines, and they've included the line numbers with each of those lines. The lines are, of course, being recorded individually. So all you have to do at this point, really, is take your trusty multi-track editing program and just put all the lines in order. Ta-da! You have just created your basic first step radio play. That's really all that's going on. You're taking all those numbered lines. The numbering is important because it saves you a lot of time and trouble later on. And you just go through, put them all in order, ping, technically it's done. At least in theory. Reality is a little bit different, because the truth is, those lines are all going to sound like they were recorded in different places, because they were. They're all going to have different amounts of line noise, because they were all recorded on different mics. They're all going to be of different quality, which is also going to make it really obvious that they weren't recorded together. And all of these things can really throw your scene off, and they can really make the listener get knocked out of the scene, which is the last thing you want. You want them focused on the scene. You want them immersed. You don't want them sitting there thinking, oh my god, that person's line noise is terrible. Or thinking, are these two people talking on the radio or phone to each other? What's going on? You don't want that. So how can you prevent this? Because of course it's reality. They're all going to be a little bit different. Well, there's a few tricks you can do. First, if you've got a good program for noise cleaning, like SoundSoap, or you're using Adobe Audition 2.0, or Cool Edit Pro, there's a couple other programs. First step is to go in and clean out line noise. And all these programs will go in, you give them a sample of what it's like when characters aren't speaking, and they remove all that background noise. It's absolutely astounding what you can do with it. Next step. Once they're mixed, I always put them all on different tracks. Every character is on a different track. That lets me play with volumes so that I can try to match up their volumes a little better, because they're all going to be different volumes too. That's another thing you have to watch out for. Then I do a really cute trick that I learned early on in my production days, which is reverb. Specifically in Adobe Audition, it's called Studio Reverb. I don't know what it's called in some other things, but reverb is basically, it's the ambient noise you're hearing in the room. Like the reflections, the reverberations of the room. Well, if you put everyone into a room that sounds the same, like you apply the same reverb setting to every one of the tracks, what you'll get is people who sound like they're all in the same room. So you've gotten rid of the line noise, you've got people who sound like they're in the same room, at least a little bit anyway. They won't sound completely perfect, but you can kind of cover some of that up too with music and environmental sound effects and other little tricks that you'll pick up as you do this. Okay, so you've got your lines set up, you've got everyone balanced, you've got everything ready to go. What's next? Next, sound effects. Now I usually start layering sound effects by starting with the biggest and most general sound effects. If I'm doing environmental, for example, a running river, I will just basically go through and I'll do the running river sound effects. And then I'll listen to it and I'll see, okay, does this really sound like the characters are next to a running river on a boat or whatever? When I've got that at the right volume level, remember you have to make sure that the volume of the background sound effects, the environmental sound effects, all have to be usually 10 to 15 dB lower than your actual character voices, otherwise they can sometimes overwhelm them. Again, each of these should be on a separate track because you need to be able to play with this. So, I go through, I put in the big environmental effects, adjust the reverb if I need to, add any echoes, whatever needs to go with it. Then, I start putting in the specific sound effects. I go with the big ones, the small ones. Go the most important sound effects to the least important sound effects. What you really need to remember, and this is the rule that I've had with sound effects, is you can't simulate a whole environment. It doesn't work. If you actually just sit silently sometime and listen, you will quickly discover in almost any environment where there's noise, there are so many noises and there's so much reverb and it's all coming at you from different directions that it's really impossible to actually simulate a whole environment. So you do what you can do. And what you can do is use key sound effects. Use the most important sound effects to get the idea across of where your characters are. Like I said, if your characters are on a river, that's fine. You might want oar sounds for the boat, or you might want bird sounds, river birds. You might want water splashing sounds. But you want key sound effects to remind your listener, but not overwhelm them, that this is where this event is taking place. Think of your environmental sound effects as your backdrop for a play or a movie. It's literally like, one of those beautiful CGI backdrops you see in Lord of the Rings or something. That's what your sound effects are. That's really what they are. But you have to remember, you can't simulate everything, so you're going to have to just let the reader's imagination fill in the details. Just give them the most major points, the key sound effects. Okay, so you've got all your little sound effects in. What's left? Music. Well, for me, I had two problems with music. One of the problems is that the truth is I'm not a very good music mixer. Like for mixing music into a play and everything, I'm just not that good at it. At least I don't think I am anyway. And then I had another problem. The other problem is that I refuse to use anything from copyrighted soundtracks. Now, it's not because I don't have any copyrighted soundtracks. In fact, there was a time in my life when I actually collected them. So I've actually got lots of soundtracks around. And I've got huge numbers of Japanese soundtracks because, well, among other things, I've lived in Japan. And I was a huge anime fan and blah, blah, blah. The important part here is that I've got all these sound effect tracks, but I can't use them. Because if I did, I would lie awake at night worrying about whether the RIAA is going to come and hunt me down in the streets and slap me with lots of legal paperwork. Because the truth is, I would be stealing someone else's work. Like, I know that most of the other audio drama groups that are out there, with the exceptions of I know Dakota Rings Theater and probably a few others that I haven't heard, actually have no problem. They use music and sound effects from wherever. But, you know something? I'm putting so much work into this. These are my original creations. I'm not doing fan works here. I honestly want to be able to keep my rights to these things. And I'm not about to give that up or make the stupid mistake of using, music and sound effects from, Lord of the Rings or something like that, and then have Sony come knocking on my door and completely shut me down after the hundreds of hours of work I had to put into this thing. So there's why you're not hearing a whole lot of music. I know some people have asked, why don't you use more music? And the answer is because I don't have that much music. But I do have some. And you're probably wondering where that music came from. Well, anyone who listened to the actual end credits of any of these things, you hardy few, would actually know that the music comes from SoundClick.com. Now, one of the things on SoundClick is it's where independent artists sell their music. But some of those artists, such as Peter Chen, Stefano Maccarelli, Danny Schneidenmeiser, and the amazing Canadian band Uncle Seth, who you heard at the end of episode 10, all put some of their music up under the Creative Commons license for people to use in trade for basically giving them credit and promoting their work. So I use their work and I give them 100% credit for it. They basically give me free usage of their work. They've been incredibly kind. I've actually talked to some of them, not all of them. I checked with them. They're like, okay, no problem. They've been incredibly kind, and I owe them a lot. I mean, really, they helped make this work. Especially Peter Chen, who basically just donated his whole music library to this project. Not all of which worked, not all of which fit, but the opening and ending themes are both his, and I think that's made a real difference in making this project sound as good as it does. You do hear some other music, and that's some royalty-free loops and jingles from the Apple iLife sound effects collection, which I had access to as well. That music I use sparingly because I'm not that good at mixing it. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but mostly I just use it to accent certain scenes and such. Okay, so now you know how this was all put together.
Coming soon from Broken Sea Production. Between the time when the oceans drank Atlantis and the rise of recorded history, there was an age undreamed of. When shining kingdoms lay spread across the world, like blue mantles beneath the stars. From the north came a Sumerian, sword in hand. A thief, a reaver, a slayer, with gigantic melancholies and gigantic mirth, to tread the jeweled thrones of the earth under his sandaled feet. Broken Sea Audio Productions presents the full cast audio dramatization of The Queen of the Black Coast, a tale of Conan, written by Robert E. Howard.
This is Austin St. John.
This is Bridge Carson.
Hey, what's up? I'm Walter Jones, also known as the original Black Ranger, Zach.
I'm Tony Oliver, one of the original producers of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and the voice of Saba.
I'm Johnny Young Bosch, and you're listening. Oh, I screwed that up already. You're listening to RangerCast.
RangerCast is the only podcast that's 100% certified more phenomenal. We've got news, reviews, rants, and raves about the Power Rangers fandom and more. Check us out at www.rangercast.net, and may the power protect you.
Homeschooled all her life, living with hippie parents who run the local coffee shop. Her friends are geeks.
You normally hand out pamphlets and preach the denying of the end?
Repent before it's too late!
Only during musical season.
And goths.
That our boy?
Yep, buried yesterday. Soft dirt's the best to dig up.
She thought that things would be easier when she went to high school. But then there's her teachers.
Through history, there has always been messiahs that lay in wait. Which are chosen, and which become mere footnotes in history, who can tell?
And the vice principal.
What? Refinement.
And her guidance counselor.
What brings you to my work hut?
Your work.
This is a safe place.
Are you sure?
She's troubled by dreams and a strange mottling over her entire skin. Now, Kate McNeil will lose everyone she loves to become something no one could imagine, to fulfill her place in history and in time, all when she turns 16. Coming in June 2008, from the mind of Jack J. Ward, be here for the dawning of an age. Kate. Surviving high school is never easy, but this is ridiculous.
It is said that in the moment of death of your podcast, your life flashes before your eyes.
It's been one whole month in this new year, and we haven't even released one single episode.
When the new year started, I thought, this is it, Mike. Only it hasn't. And the show is still definitely here. Hit it, Mike!
Yes,
R5 Central. Series 4, coming soon. Check us out at r5central.wordpress.com. You can also check us out on MySpace and on iTunes. Don't count us out yet.